we should be live with audio. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to today's episode of Law, News, and Laughter. Today's episode is all about founders. We have the founder of Big Gay Ice Cream suing a partner. We have a founder of a cryptocurrency who has been sentenced to 11,000 years behind bars. That's really about all we have in terms of founders, unless you class me as the founder of this channel. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We have some various other things, including... Oh wait, no, I forgot another founder. The founder of a micronation called Sealand, who apparently took over a fort in the ocean outside of England, and they still have yet to turf them out. The place is literally the size of 2 tennis courts, but he's planted his own flag and he's keeping it there. So let's get stuck into it, people, shall we? Welcome to Law, News, and Laughter. Okay, but starting off today, we're going to do a follow-up on Ruby Frank, because she had a court hearing. And given that she's such a popular influencer, I thought it was interesting that a whole bunch of people tried to tune in to watch her hearing. There we go. I don't want that one, I want this one that makes me nice and big. Thousands try to watch influencer Ruby Frank court hearing in a child abuse case. Ruby Frank, a Springville mum who had over 2 million YouTube followers on a family-based channel, appeared virtually before a St. George judge on Friday for an initial court appearance as thousands of people tried tuning in to watch her. Frank, best known for her YouTube channel 8 Passengers, is accused of restraining her 2 youngest children with duct tape and starving them in Jody Hildebrandt's home in Inves, Washington County. There is a special place in hell for this woman. Right next to all the other people that abuse the parent-child relationship, because there is supposed to be nothing in this world that is more loving and caring than the relationship between a child and their parent, because the child doesn't know any better, and that is why I hold a special kind of hatred for parents that abuse, that take advantage of the kids in their care. This bitch should fry, in my own personal opinion. She was arrested after police say her son climbed out of a window with duct tape on his ankles and wrists and asked a neighbour for food and water. Hildebrandt, 54, appeared before the judge right after Frank did, both from a room in Purgatory Correctional Facility. That's apt. Wearing orange and white striped jumpsuits, Frank and Hildebrandt, a licensed clinical mental health counsellor. What the fuck is with that? 4 minutes in, that'll do. Each charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony. The judge on Friday ordered both be held without bail pending trial. Here's the thing that I don't understand. Some of her kids were over the age of 18, at least one of them was out of the house, and no one was fucking listening to the fact that they were raising the alarm. How the hell did CPS not actually look at this? How is it that CPS can get involved with genuinely loving families and turn lives upside down and not actually do anything about proper instances of abuse? That drives me fucking insane. The women were running the YouTube channel and a company called Connections Classroom, or Connections, which is just... Oh, hang on, that's a bit small. I shall... Hang on. I need buttons for this. It's one thing I don't like about StreamYard is that you have to click the button on the thing rather than on the Stream Deck.
Freeze and enhance.
There we go. YouTube took down the Connections and 8 Passengers channels down after their arrests. The hearing is likely to be the most attended since Utah began widely using WebEx to conduct remote court hearings. The court was still letting people into the virtual room until well over half an hour after the hearing was scheduled to begin. The court asked people to mute and turn off their cameras while people were still being let in, but that didn't stop many comments, mostly comments telling other people to mute their microphones. Mute your microphone, boomer. On Twitter, the Utah court's account said that there were over 1,000 people in the room and many more trying to get in, and that was well before they began the hearing. Here's a thought, Utah courts. Stream it on YouTube. I know that not all courts in the US stream. Good chunkies really should. Take a page out of the book of the Florida courts and make everything blanket and open. I know that they've got the sunshine laws and all that sort of stuff. Just make it open and transparent. Let us laugh at these dickheads in real time. Multiple people were kicked out of the virtual room before the hearing started, including KSL reporters, as the court tried to handle the volume. Law and Crime Network tried to stream the hearing on its YouTube channel where over 40,000 people were watching the WebEx room. But its stream stopped before the hearing started when it was kicked off. Ha ha ha! Law and Crime got kicked out! A moderator said the site would try and get back on, but the stream never resumed. 5th District Judge Eric Gentry granted a request from both Frank's attorney and the prosecutor to transfer the case to the same judge that will be hearing Hildebrand's case, Judge John Walton. Attorneys for both women said they intended to file motions soon to address the decision denying them bail in the case. Good luck with that. There is some evidence to indicate that Frank's problems have been around for a while, including an ongoing case in juvenile court. Officers responded to the Frank home in Springville, I did it again, 14 times between April 2020 and August 23. 5 of those visits were to assist the Utah Division of Child and Family Services. I'm sorry, what the fuck? They've already been involved 5 times and this shit's... One was a call initiated by Frank's adult daughter who was concerned her siblings had been home alone for multiple days. On that visit on September 18, 2022, neighbours confirmed to officers the mum would leave to go to Hildebrand's home for days at a time and said that they were concerned about the children. Everyone who came to the scene were very concerned about the children, real concerned, and then being left home alone. The juvenile court case involving the Frank family may be related to the DCFS investigation or custody of the children, but all documents related to the case are classified as private, as well they should in that instance. DCFS spokeswoman Miranda Fisher released... I'm so used to you saying spokesperson so as not to misgender people, for fuck's sake. Released a statement Wednesday saying, in part, due to confidentiality and the privacy of the children and families we work with, DCFS cannot share information on a case, either past or present, or confirm involvement with a child or family. That's fair. A hearing in the Provo court held yesterday in that case, and was held in that court held yesterday in that case, and another will be held on the 18th of September. Kevin Frank's attorney, Randy Kester, said the father is following the guidance of the juvenile court and his counsel is attempting to do those things that are best for the kids. The attorney said that he has been a great dad and they're trying to get kids back to a normal situation. Normal for them or normal for regular kids in a loving home? Let's just check. While I'm no supporter for prosecutors, generally speaking, I'm with Hayden. I hold a special type of contempt for these people. Concerns about Ruby Frank's children. Oh, they're just additional things. Okay. Yeah. These bitches can fry. I'm over this sort of shit. There is literally exploiting your kids for financial gain, and then there is, which is bad enough. Add to that when you actually abuse them and portray yourself as something you are not, and you are an enormous hypocrite. No, as far as I'm concerned, you can rot. But anyway. Where do we get to? Okay, let's move on to Sealand. So this one's a little bit interesting because So, for anyone that doesn't know about micronations are small areas of land that individuals try and designate as sovereign nations. We've had a few of them here in Australia. Most recently, the collapse of the Hutt River province sort of brought it to light. That was an area in rural Australia where it was basically a large swath of farmland that was designated by an individual as sovereign land. He refused to pay taxes, refused to acknowledge sovereignty of Australia, all that sort of stuff. And basically what brought it down was eventually, because he couldn't establish certain things, the land tax and the Australian Taxation Office basically got into them for about $2 million. And the court ruled that there was possession issues and all that sort of stuff. In the end, they had to sell the land, which, frankly, I think it's a bit of bullshit. If you want to secede, provided you're not using the Australian currency and you're not whatever else, I am all for individuals being self-reliant. If they can be off the grid, not use the currency, use whatever else, their land is their land. If they've legally purchased it, no government should have any rights whatsoever to your land, basically. I'm very much a proponent of your home is your castle. Always have been, always will be. Yeah, that's the problem, Chaucerian fraud. The land only belongs to you as long as the government allows it. You're just renting it. Yeah, and that's fucking bullshit. If I pay for something, I'm paying for something. That's why I have issues with native title. That's why I have issues with mining rights, because apparently when you buy land, you only buy it to a certain depth, and if all of a sudden they find oil or minerals or something like that under it, you got no rights to it whatsoever, and they can remove you from the land so that they can retrieve it. Fuck that. But what I do find interesting is when you get these little micronations, and this one's interesting because it has a bit of a story behind it. So let's have a look at Sealand. The remains of the smallest country in the world after an adventurer claims the fort abandoned. Adventurer claims of the fort abandoned. They actually have a video on it, which I didn't actually watch, but I did read the... shit, where's it gone? There we go. So, when it comes to David versus Goliath stories, the tug of war between the tiny micronation of Sealand and Great Britain is tough to beat. Measuring around the size of 2 tennis courts and located in the North Sea about 12 kilometres east of Suffolk, the oddity of Sealand claims to be the world's smallest country.
9 days, 8 sightings.
Piss off. Since 1966, the Principality of Sealand has somehow repelled the clutches of its powerful neighbour England, whose mighty empire was built on the back of its awesome naval power and once covered a quarter of the planet's landmass. Yeah, and look how well that turned out. After former British Army Major Roy Bates planted his flag on an old World War II sea fort nearly 6 decades ago, which he then established as Sealand, the English never managed to get him off, no matter how hard they tried. Giggity. It was definitely a cock-a-snook to the British government, Roy's son Michael tells at 9 News, tipping his hat to the lesser-known name given to the derisive hand gesture where someone holds their thumb to the tip of their nose and waggles their fingers. It symbolises freedom, doesn't it, he says, reflecting on what Sealand and its colourful history represents. Before Michael's now-deceased father claimed it as sovereign territory and appointed it as Sealand, the hulking 2-legged steel platform was simply known as Her Majesty's Fort Ruffs. Built in 1943 to repel the Germans during World War II, and around 150 Royal Naval personnel occupied the fort throughout the war to help defend vital shipping lanes. I'm just putting it out there. It's 2 tennis courts wide. How the hell do you get 150 people on that? That's an ant's nest. So check this out. So this actually becomes important because he's tried this before on Fort Knockjohn. So this is where Sealand is here, and this is Britain's international water line. I wonder why this one didn't work and this one has. The last Navy man left the structure in 1956, and the government put the fort on the back burner, leaving it to sit isolated and empty for some of the most unforgiving seas and weather patterns on the planet. With the fort abandoned in international waters outside of Britain's then legal reach of the 3 nautical miles, Bates hatched a plan. He had a bee in his bonnet because the government had not long before booted him off another war fort in the North Sea, one called Knockjohn. From Knock John, the self-styled renegade Bates had been operating a pirate radio station called Radio Essex, taking on the BBC, because fuck you, British Broadcasting Corporation. Pirate stations were on the rise, and the UK government wasn't happy about it. Tough new legislation was drafted, and officials sought to shut down radio stations like Radio Essex, because God forbid people should provide information out there that is not censored or regulated. Knock John's Achilles' heels for Bates had been its location. It was positioned in waters inside British jurisdiction, while Fort Rough was further out to the sea. The other problem for Bates was a rival pirate radio station, Radio Caroline, was already occupying Fort Roughs. The details of the night have varied a little over the years, but the way Michael Bates tells it, from his home in Essex, the action took place on a freezing cold Christmas Eve in 1966. His father and a couple of radio DJs jumped on a boat, journeyed out to Fort Rough, pulled up underneath the platform. There was a little piece of rope hanging down, and one of the DJs could climb very well, he says. He climbed up, put down a rope ladder, and we all climbed up. There were actually a couple of guys from Radio Caroline. We didn't know that they were going to be there, be on the foot at the time, and we just told them, we're going to take you ashore tomorrow. The world was a bit like that in those days, you know? Yeah, that's called piracy. The fort has been in the Bates family hands ever since, but not without drama. Over the next decade, Sealand battled to survive and protect its sovereignty in a string of incidents which only added to the intrigue and legend of the man-made island. When the British Navy sent a boat close by, Michael Bates fired a series of warning shots at it. Because why not? Sure, let's just instigate and fire off a few shots at a naval vessel in international waters, where they would be well within their rights to blow you out of the water. But a judge threw out that scrape ended with the long arm of the law hauling Roy and Michael before a court in England. But a judge threw out the case, ruling that Sealand was outside British territorial waters and therefore beyond the jurisdiction of the court. The Bates seized on the ruling, insisting that it effectively recognised Sealand as its own state. And for the past 60 years, the Bates family has run Sealand as if it was a real country, even though it's never been officially recognised as such. Yeah, because they never do. Take that, Royal Navy. Yep. My dad was a born adventurer, Michael says. In summing up, Bates claimed the judge had said his father should have been born in the Elizabethan era, you know, in the days of Francis Drake. After the court case, Bates Sr. went all in. He created a flag, a national anthem, and a motto, Emere Libertas, which translates into, from the sea, freedom. There are Sealand coins and stamps. The Principality has its own constitution and currency, Sealand dollars, pegged to the US dollar. Oh, there you go. It even has its own national football team. Oh, can't do any worse than Manchester. Just saying. I'm being facetious. I don't even follow soccer. I have no idea who's on the top of the ladder at the moment. I actually don't care. Arriving at Sealand, your passport must be stamped and your person may be searched. Your ass may be searched by seamen. Giggity. The twin supporting towers which hold up the platform and make Sealand a place to live are divided into 7 floors of bedrooms, living areas, and kitchens. Oh, no shit! I missed that the first time I read through this. So that entire thing, like the pylons and everything, are all rooms and everything. That's pretty cool. Where are we? Bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, and a chapel, even a jail cell. When you're inside, it's nice and warm and it's safe, he says. You can hear the sea gurgling around you. You hear ships go past like old war submarine films when they're just sitting there waiting for the depth charges to land, and you hear the propellers of the destroyer going ding, ding, ding as it runs by you. You hear all that. Wild storms are an exhilarating experience and unnerving for the uninitiated. Yeah, I ain't doing that. How do they have enough people for a football team? Well, I mean, if the place is bigger than what I expected, so maybe they actually have people living there. Luckily, it's built in a fashion that the sea rolls around it, he says. But you get the odd bastard wave now and again that will run up against the tower and slap underneath when there's a force 12 storm. There's been more than just the weather to worry about. In 1978, an attempted coup by a group of German and Dutch mercenaries drew the attention of the BBC and the New York Times, with the Times calling it the smallest coup d'etat in history. This is serious. Your seaman jokes are unappreciated. Okay, fine, I'll stop them then. I mean, geez, I thought you guys came here for me to make jokes, but I guess I'll just leave it alone. I love that it still has the gun emplacements. The way Michael Bates tells it, he was the only one on the fort at the time. The would-be invaders flew in by helicopter and dropped down onto the fort, holding him captive for several days. He was marshalled onto a fishing trawler and put ashore in the Netherlands. Unfortunately, I seem not to have read the history about my father and my family, he said. So they didn't quite do the right thing. After making his way back to the UK, the Bates clan launched their own armed counter-offensive, flying back on a helicopter and retaking Sealand. We were sliding down ropes out of a helicopter and we were 100 feet above the North Sea, he recalls. It was blowing a gale, really rough, and we never even considered wearing large jackets. I'm assuming they meant life jackets. It's crazy when you look back. Things are more serene these days. After the turn of the millennium, Bates briefly flirted with the idea of setting up Sealand as the world's first truly offshore data storage platform, away from regular government and regulations. But that initiative quickly fizzled out. Yeah, I'm willing to bet because they couldn't get a half-decent internet connection. Now the Principality's website offers people the chance to purchase Sealandic titles ranging from Lord or Lady to Duke or Duchess. They gave it a lifespan of 200 years when they built it, he said, when asked about what the future holds. My sons are running it now, and I've got 3 grandsons. I'm sure we'll just carry on. So there you go. So that is all about the tiny micronation of Sealand, founded in the middle of the North Sea, just outside British international territory, and, you know, maybe the opportunity to visit one day. So, anyway, alright. Okay, this is some bullshit. A cyclist who kneed a 5-year-old girl to the floor on Christmas Day for blocking his path has successfully sued her father for sharing the viral footage. A Belgian cyclist who went viral after he was filmed kneeing a little girl and knocking her to the ground as he rode past her has won his court case against her father for posting the footage online. A court will determine in April next year how much compensation he's entitled to after he successfully argued that he was defamed. Are you fucking kidding me? Look, I get that the rules over there are a little bit different in terms of defamation. Generally, when you post footage of something, you've got actual proof that something has taken place. Defamation generally applies you've defamed someone's character because something is not true or you've made an allegation, not just because you posted footage of you doing something distasteful. The footage was filmed by 5-year-old Naya, that'll be like Leia, so 5-year-old Naya's dad, Patrick Mapasa, during their family walk in a nature reserve in Barak Michel, Liège province on Christmas Day 2020. The cyclist was originally taken to court in Verviers for kneeling the child, only to be given a suspended sentence on the ground that he had been criticised enough on social media. What the? He was ordered to pay the girl's family a pitiful €1 in compensation. The video shows him knocking the younger girl, knocking the youngster, causing her to topple over. But the 62-year-old cyclist, reportedly a father and grandfather of 7 children, who has not been named publicly, sued them for defamation. You prick! You can see from that he's deliberately done that and gone out of his way. He sticks his knee out. What the? You piece of shit. Like, don't get me wrong, the damages there which would be nominal because, like, I mean, what injury could she really sustain? But no. No. If someone attacked my 6-year-old girl, he would be broken in many ways. Would have pushed him off his shitty little bike. Yeah, as would I, probably. In the video, the 5-year-old girl is seen walking by her mother's side on the snow-covered path as a cyclist approaches him from behind. Just as he rides alongside the girl, he extends his knee out, hitting the little girl and knocking her to the ground before continuing on his way unbothered. The family believed it was not an accident. I don't believe that that's an accident. Watching that. You can see him specifically stick his knee out and then return it to a normal cycling position. Why don't I just take her lollipop too? What a prick. As a man, he also did not stop to check if the girl was okay and carried on cycling down the path. However, the court decided that the cyclist was free to go because he'd incurred enough criticism on social media over the incident. I don't care how much criticism you incur on social media. If you assault someone, I'm sorry, you should still at least be fined. Are you kidding me? Especially in such a dick callous move against a young child. This is why cyclists have such a bad reputation, because dickheads like this are the ones that make it into the media. How's it defamation? He did it on video? Yeah. I'll give you something to cry about. That's lovely, still alive. The story did not end there. Almost a year after the incident, the cyclist went back to court to sue the girl's father for defamation. He did so on the grounds that the backlash the video received resulted in him feeling so threatened by the public, he was scared to leave his own house. Well, maybe don't be a dick and kick a little kid. Unprovoked from the looks of it. Not that provocation would have made any sort of difference. I'm just saying, it just makes it that much worse if all he was doing was being a bastard. Riding past, kicked her, she falls to the ground and, oh, my fifis are hurt because the people on the internet think that I'm a prick. Yes. Jacques Engelbert, his lawyer, said in response to the defamation suit at the time, "We have the right to express ourselves. We have the right to post or to have posted a video on the internet. In this case, we must check whether we have exceeded the limits of freedom of expression." How the fuck is it... No. How the hell is this breaching the levels of freedom of expression to post a video online? A, public place. B, you knocked over my daughter. C, you're a dickhead. Yes, I'm posting this online. What a piece of shit. Surprised he didn't sue the 5-year-old. His arguments were not strong enough in court, and Mapasa says he has lost the case and could be ordered to pay compensation. In the footage, which went viral online, the cyclist was seen emerging from a bend in a snowy road before knocking into the young girl and sending her toppling to the snow. Furious, the furious father had been filming his wife and 2 children and later shared the video on social media asking if people agreed he was right to complain to the police. He said he chased after the man and managed to make him stop, but the cyclist had been unrepentant. He explained what happened and asked us to withdraw the police complaint, but he showed no remorse and did not apologise. A lot of people tell me that I should have hit him, but I don't agree, and in any case, I was in front of my children, which would have made things worse for them. I don't want a witch hunt, I just want him to apologise. The family soon filed a complaint with the police, and both the cyclist and any witnesses were asked to come forward. The cyclist was reported to have come forward by contacting the parents of the child. During a court hearing on February 3, 2021, the cyclist claimed that the incident had happened because he had tried to keep his balance. You fucking lying piece of shit. Let's go back to the tape. What about... Nothing about that is you trying to keep your balance, you lying sack of shit. Admittedly, the kid's blocking the path, but it doesn't sound like he made any sort of, like, noises or anything to say, oh, by the way, coming through, all that sort of shit. There's a bell on a bike for a reason, or you say, passing on the left, passing on the right, whatever else you need to get some sort of attention. You can hear the father telling the daughter to get out of the way. She had no clue that anyone was coming up behind him. And then you see this shit. He very clearly sticks his knee out, and there's nothing there about trying to keep your balance. Are you kidding me? Hang on, let's make this big again. Yes, because it is so necessary to have your knee out at a 90-degree angle and knee someone in the back in order to keep your balance. I always kick kids while trying to keep my balance. Even if the kid's fault, you stop after. Yeah. This is just some bullshit.
Hey!
Where do we go? Chase after the man, managed to make him stop, blah, blah, blah. He said, when I was riding close to the girl, I felt my rear wheel sliding. To avoid a fall, I balanced myself with a movement of my knee. Bullshit. I felt that I might have hit the girl, but did not immediately realise she'd been knocked over. Oh, you mean when people started calling out to you to say that you'd hit somebody? Yeah. But the prosecution argued his statement seemed very unlikely. He was simply annoyed by the people on the path whom he had to swerve around all the time, and he gave the child a knee punch out of sheer annoyance because an obstacle was in his way for the umpteenth time. The local cyclist association described the man's behaviour as unacceptable. That's nice and strong language there from the local bicycle association. But the judge opted for lenient treatment, arguing the man had no intention of harming the girl. The incident was minor, and he'd already been criticised on social media. Whilst I agree that the incident may have been minor, the girl probably didn't actually receive any sort of injury. It could have been significantly worse, but that's really not really the point. You try and tell me that that was not intentional? And I'm going to call you a liar every single damn day and kick your ass 8 ways from Sunday. That's some bullshit. The judge went on to say that cyclist had already spent time in custody when he was arrested and ruled that the unnamed man must pay the girl's family a symbolic €1 or 86 pence in the UK. So roughly, hang on, what is a euro these days? Euro to USD, $7. He had to pay $7 in compensation. While the cyclist had faced up to a year in prison, the court decided to hand him a suspended sentence, meaning he will not face any penalties for his action so long as he does not reoffend. Personally, I would have liked to have seen like 14 days. Screw the year. Funny, people get all rattled over something they know nothing about. Okay. What a world we live in. What kind of people does this to a child and then sues for defamation? Yeah. No shit. Pay it in pennies and put it in a sock. Oh, that's good. Alright, let me clean up some of the things here. Okay. Now, from one sort of miscarriage of justice to another, body cam video shows a federal drug prosecutor handing police his business card during a DUI crash. Joseph Rudy was apparently attempting to blunt the fallout of a 4th of July crash in which he was accused of drunkenly striking another vehicle and leaving the scene. When police arrived at his house to investigate the hit and run, Joseph Rudy, one of the nation's most prolific federal narcotics prosecutors, looked so drunk he could barely stand up, leaning on the tailgate of his pickup to keep his balance. But he apparently was under control enough to be waiting with his US Justice Department business card in hand. "What are you trying to hand me?" an officer asked. "You realise when they pull my body camera footage, they see this is going to go really bad." Psychotic Dolex has really been on me about the grifting lately. Okay, guys, if you are here, if you are liking the content, please make sure you hit the like button on the video. Better yet, if you want to see my continuing coverage of various things, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. Make sure it changes from personalised to all notifications. I'm fairly confident at this point that YouTube is sending out very selective notifications. It doesn't help that I haven't really been on a schedule, which, yes, certain people have been on me about to try and get things sorted. I have sorted out the timing and whatnot. Now that I've got exactly what time I'll need to be getting the little Roo to school next year, I'm going to start implementing that as soon as Daylight Savings kicks in later in October. So there will be a slight time shift change. I know, again, sue me. But from that, I should be pretty regular and focused on things. But yes. Oh, and if you feel so inclined, feel free to send through a super chat. Very much appreciated. Helps the channel, keeps it running. And it may or may not help me get to Matsuri again next year, in which case I'll be able to meet and greet a whole bunch more of you. Beyond that, don't forget we also have the after party, which usually happens on a Thursday evening after Nick Ricada's streams. where we will talk some random shit. It's basically an excuse because for me, it's Friday evening. I get to sit around with a bunch of people, have a few drinks, watch some chicks in next to nothing, run around and play NFL. And it's, that one I'm going to be grifting very hard because from now on, the second hour when the game starts, it's going to start with an overlay. Basically covering the entirety of the screen. And for every super chat, for a certain amount, more of the screen's going to get revealed. So if you want to be able to watch those women play football, better get your checkbooks out, people. And yes, I'm going to work on the grifting. I suck at this. I really do. Is it a call-in show? This is shit you should be doing on a regular basis because you know it's supposed to help. Yeah, I suck on it, okay? I suck on it. I suck at grifting, okay? If anyone has actually seen me on other people's channels, I grift the shit out of them. Like, I can go full salesman for grifting for other people on their channels. I don't know why I suck so badly at it. I've been struggling so hard to think of a hook of a equivalent to Doggo Cam, of an equivalent to Fight Milk, to whatever else. And I just don't feel like I'm that interesting. Need an emu cam like Vices has Doggo Cam. I was thinking about that. But, so life, is this really the first time you've heard my name? And if you had thought it was William, that is one of my middle names. One of my many, many middle names. Hiding the screen would just get me to watch something else, just saying. Well, fair enough. It's up to you. Write some scripts will be mocking you. But anyway. Alright, let's get back stuck into this, shall we? Okay. So he tried to hand them his business card. The footage obtained by the Associated Press showed Rudy apparently attempting to leverage his position to blunt the fallout from the 4th of July crash in which he is accused of drunkenly striking another vehicle and leaving the scene. Dude. You think I look like Will Riker? I will take that as a huge compliment. Despite being charged, the 59-year-old Rudy remained on the job for 2 months, representing the United States in court as recently as last week to notch another win for the sprawling task force he helped create 2 decades ago, targeting cocaine smuggling at sea. On Wednesday, after the AP asked the Justice Department about Rudy's status, the veteran prosecutor was pulled off 3 pending criminal cases. A Justice Department spokesperson would not say whether or not he'd been suspended, but said that Rudy, while still employed, had been removed from his supervisory role at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tampa. The case has been referred to the Office of the Inspector General. Look, do I think that he should lose his job specifically over one instance? No. Do I think the fact that he tried to talk his way out of it by saying that he was a government official and a prosecutor? I think that's an enhancement. If he had not handed the business card and not tried to identify... I feel the same way about cops trying to get out of things. Like when they get pulled over for drunk driving or whatever and they show their badge to try and get preferential treatment. As far as I'm concerned, if you are drunk and you are not on the job, and really being on the job is sort of irrelevant anyway, if you are drunk, you should not be getting preferential treatment just because of your official capacity. Such an Inspector General's probe would likely focus on whether he'd been trying to use his public office for private gain, said Kathleen Clark, a legal ethics professor at Washington University in St. Louis, who reviewed the footage. It's hard to see what this could be other than an attempt to improperly influence the police officer to go easy on him. What could possibly be his purpose for handing over his U.S. Attorney's Office business card? Rudy, whose blood alcohol level tested at 0.17, twice the legal limit, was charged with driving under the influence with property damage, a first-degree misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in prison. Despite his own admissions and witness testimony, he was not charged with leaving the scene of the accident. Yeah, because that, again, would have been an enhancer. Neither Rudy nor his attorney returned messages seeking comment. I'm shocked. Rudy is known in law enforcement circles as one of the architects of Operation Panama Express, or PanX, a task force launched in 2000 to target cocaine smuggling at sea, combining resources from the Coast Guard, FBI, DEA, and ICE enforcement. If you're drunk and black, well, still life. If you're drunk and black, you're just screwed. No, Alexandra, I don't have an emu. I'd like to, but I don't. I don't wait for notifications. I actively look for your content because it's bloody good. Oh, thank you, Lorraine. Okay, historically, Panex-generated intelligence contributes to more than 90% of the Coast Guard drug interactions at sea. Between 2018 and 2022, the Coast Guard removed or destroyed 888 metric tons of cocaine, worth an estimated $26 billion, and detained 2,776 suspected smugglers. Yes, destroyed. Because it's not as if we've ever seen the headlines about the $100 million of cocaine that mysteriously turned into $80 million worth of cocaine that then was in the evidence locker as $40 million worth of cocaine, and eventually $20 million of cocaine was destroyed. The bulk of these cases were handled by Rudy and his colleagues in Tampa, where Panex is headquartered. A former Ironman triathlete, he enjoys a reputation among attorneys for hard work and toughness in the courtroom. Among his biggest cases were some of the early extraditions from Colombia of top smugglers from the feared Cali cartel. But the majority of his cases handed out of his office involve mostly poor fishermen from Central and South America who make up the drug train's lowest rungs. Often the drugs aren't even bound for American shores, and the constitutional guarantees of due process that normally apply in criminal cases inside the US are only loosely observed. Rudy is at the heart of a costly and aggressive prosecutor-led drag net that every year pulls in hundreds of low-level cocaine traffickers off the oceans and incarcerates them in the US, said Kendra McSweeney, an Ohio State University geographer, who is part of a team studying maritime interdiction policies. Okay. Research by Ohio State's Interdiction Lab, whatever the hell that is. I may have to ask Jeff about that, actually. Found that between 2014 and 2020, the median sentence for smugglers picked up at sea and prosecuted in Tampa was 10 years. Longer than any other court in the country, and compared to 7 years, 6 months in Miami, which handles the second largest amount of such cases. Last Friday, nearly 2 months after his arrest, Rudy was in court to ratify a plea deal in the case of a Brazilian man, Flavio Fontes Pereira, who in February was found by the US Coast Guard with more than 3.3 tons of cocaine aboard a sailboat off Guinea in West Africa. Wake up, Jeff, and ask him. Wake up, Jeff! Nah, he's off doing his own thing. After 2 weeks aboard the US Coast Guard vessel, he made an initial appearance in Tampa in March, charged under the Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act, which gives the US unique arrest powers anywhere on the high seas whenever it determines the vessel is without nationality. That's interesting.
America, America, fuck yeah! Come out again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America!
Because, that's a little bit of world policey, just saying. Rudy is next due to appear in court in his own case on September 27. He's accused of sideswiping an SUV whose driver had been waiting to turn at a red light, clipping a side mirror, and tearing off another piece of the vehicle that lodged in the front fender of Rudy's pickup. He never even hit the brakes, a witness told police. He just kept going, and he was swerving all the way up the road. I'm like, no, he's going to hurt somebody. So I just followed him until I got the tag number and then called and reported it. When officers arrived at his home in the suburb of Temple Terrace, they found him hunched over his pickup, holding his keys and using his vehicle for support. Officers noted that he'd urinated on himself, was unable to walk without help, and failed a field sobriety test. He'd urinated on himself and he was unable to walk without help, and you're shocked that he failed a field sobriety test. Why even bother? Just get the breatho out and know exactly what the... Anyway. I understand we might be having a better night, Tampa Police Patrolman Taylor Grant, before looking at the business card. What? Why didn't you stop? The officer asked. No shit. Hang on. Let's look at the footage. Let's go to the tape.
Hey, what is this? Yeah.
Oh shit! What happened there? Oh fuck you.
Welcome back to Connect.
Good. I understand we might be having a better night. What is this?
Yeah.
What are you trying to hand me? Joseph Rudy. Is that you?
That's me.
Are you an active assistant?
I am.
U.S. State Attorney? You understand why I'm here?
I had an accident on the collar.
Okay, well at least you admitted on camera that you had an accident.
I didn't realize that
Wow, they're not too quick on blocking out the officers' faces there.
Medical services? Do you have a back issue? No. You're like really leaning. It's got me concerned. No. Okay. I'm out here because there was a hit and run. You hit a vehicle and you ran. Okay.
What?
You ran because you're drunk. You probably didn't realize that you hit the vehicle. Am I right in that aspect?
Look like murder at first.
You a district attorney for the state or for the government?
He was trying so hard to give him an out then too. Have you got any back issues? You anything
I
else?
realize when they pull my body-worn camera footage and they see this is going to go really bad. So, yeah. As long as we're on
The
same
look on
page,
his
it's
face
fine.
when he realised.
Do you have your insurance for the vehicle? Looks like...
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, at this point in the video, it does not appear that he has wet himself. It just looks like some shadows. Like, I'm not looking particularly hard, but... So it's after the police arrived, in my opinion, that this guy has urinated on himself. So... But more to the point, Just Cause celebrating 7 years wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Just want to say, that is a hell of a milestone. Here's to Just Cause. And and your significant other, I should say, because in today's day and age, can't misgender people, because, you know, then we'll get cancelled. But anyway, 7 years over the hill. Better than 6 foot under it. Hopefully the 7-year itch doesn't kick in, but congratulations, and here's to many, many more. I'd do a shot, but it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. No, it's not even 11 o'clock. Congratulations, and happy anniversary. What? It's the first thing I look at when people approach me? What, whether or not they've pissed themselves? Okay.
Looks like could be it there.
Wow, he's trying so hard just to find his driver's license and insurance. Oh. See, and that's going to annoy me, because you know he's going to get a slap on the wrist as well. But, anyway. We'll just have to keep an eye out. I'll flag that one as one of my things, because I can flag certain news articles to get updates and that sort of thing occasionally. I would be interested to see exactly where that goes, because that's... What a moron. Absolute moron. But while we're talking about maritime crimes, Florida man riding human-sized hamster wheel in the Atlantic Ocean faces federal charges. A Florida man who was attempting to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a man-made hamster wheel is facing federal charges after it took the US Coast Guard 5 days to bring him ashore, according to a criminal complaint filed in Miami. Why the hell was I not able to find the criminal complaint on this? It's Miami. I thought everything was supposed to be... Anyway. The Coast Guard spotted Reza Ray Baluchi, 51, some 70 miles off the coast of Tybee Island in Georgia on August 26 while making preparations for Hurricane Franklin in the He was in the middle of the fucking hurricane. Now I'm just imagining a hamster ball flying through a storm. That's great. While making preparations for Hurricane Franklin, the complaint filed in federal court said Baluchi was charged Tuesday with obstruction of boarding and violation of... Hang on, you know what? Give me a second. Criminal complaint. Sorry about the typing. Do we actually have... Oh, we may actually have it. Hang on. If not, there may actually be footage, which is great. Nope. There we go. That's what we like to see. Okay, well, I'll finish reading this and then we'll have a look through the complaint affidavit. Baluchi was charged on Tuesday with obstruction of boarding and violation of a captain of the port order. What? Yeah, it's federal. Baluchi told the Coast Guard crew that he was attempting to ride the hydropod vessel to England and that he had a Florida registration, which he'd been unable to locate for them on board. The officer said the vessel was afloat as a result of wiring and buoys and determined that Baluchi was conducting a manifestly unsafe voyage. Who the fuck cares? He was how many miles into international waters? When they attempted to get him to leave the vessel, he told them that he had a knife and threatened to harm himself. Coast Guard Special Agent Michael Perez wrote in the complaint. So fuck off and let him drown. That's his own prerogative. Guilty trying to escape Florida. The next day, he threatened to blow himself. What? When the Coast Guard approached him again about leaving the vessel, he threatened to explode himself in Minecraft. When the officers saw Bellucci holding wires, they contacted the US Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit to help them determine the blast radius of the bomb. On August 28th, the Coast Guard cutters Campbell and Valiant arrived on the scene to offer support. They launched a small boat to deliver food and water and give him predictions of the hurricane. They again ordered him off the vessel and he refused, but he told them that the bomb was not real. On August 29, the Coast Guard successfully removed him from the vessel, and on September 1, he was brought to the Coast Guard base in Miami Beach. Bellucci attempted a voyage in a similar homemade vessel in 2014, the complaint said. In 2015, he was served a captain of the port order from the Coast Guard that applied to any subsequent voyages. Bellucci failed to comply with the order and was interdicted in a homemade vessel in 2016. It's a word I've never come up against before. I'm gonna have to Google it. He attempted another voyage in 2021, and the Coast Guard intervened then as well. Frankly, the Minecraft explosion solution sounds like it would have been best. If Florida man wants to take out himself and a hamster wheel during a hurricane, so be it. I don't think we need him voting here. The Coast Guard justifying their existence. Does anyone think harassing a man who is sailing his own self-made boat is a good use of taxpayer money? No. I genuinely do not. His attorney, Mickey Bloom, did not immediately respond on Thursday to an email. Court records show that he posted his $250,000 bond. Let's have a look at the criminal complaint. Does this matter originate from a matter pending in the northern region of the United States Attorney's Office? No. Does the matter originate? No. Criminal complaint by telephone or other reliable electronic means. I, the complainant in this case, state that the following is true to the best of my knowledge and belief. Beginning on an unknown date and continuing through or about August 29 upon the high seas, outside the jurisdiction of any particular state or district, in international waters while on board a vessel subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, the defendant has violated this code. Okay, tell me this. They specifically said that there's no registration. Oh, hang on, no, he said he had a license from Florida, didn't he? I'm trying to work out, if it's in international waters, what jurisdiction the Coast Guard has to have intervene on this. He pissed them off for refusing to comply. Okay. I, Michael A. Perez, being duly sworn, hereby depose as following. I'm a special agent with the Coast Guard Investigative Services, been employed since March 2016, currently assigned to the CGIS office in Key West, Florida. Investigative law officer, blah, blah, blah. Affidavit submitted in support of criminal complaint charging Ray Bellucci. Statement contained in this affidavit are based on my personal knowledge, blah, blah, blah. Okay, on August 26, 2023, the US Coast Guard cutter Valiant was transiting in the Atlantic Ocean preparing for Hurricane Franklin when they spotted a homemade hydropod vessel subject to United States jurisdiction. How? Show me how. That, I don't know. Where's Vices? I really would actually need him on this. Approximately 70 nautical miles off Tybee Island, Georgia. The vessel was occupied by one male passenger, later identified as Bellucci. Upon arriving at the vessel, US Coast Guard officers asked the standard boarding questions to include requesting the registration of the vehicle. He informed them that he had a Florida registration on board his vehicle. Okay, that's probably how it is, because he reckons that he's actually got a registration on it. Dumbass. But he was unable to locate it. He also advised US Coast Guard officers his intended destination was London, England. Based on the condition of the vessel, which was afloat as a result of wiring and buoys, the Coast Guard officers determined that he was conducting a manifestly unsafe voyage. Coast Guard officers then approached him and the vessel in a small boat. Officers informed Bellucci that he needed to disembark the vessel onto their small boat since they were terminating his voyage due to it being manifestly unsafe. I don't believe they should have actually, intervened here. Now we have to add the US Coast Guard to the Fun Police and have great company with the ATF and the DEA. Yeah, so apparently he registered a hamster wheel. Hey Beavis, check this out. I think it was because they had to rescue him before and didn't want it to have to cost more. So don't rescue him. He's literally out there on his own of his own volition. He replied that he was armed with a 12-inch knife and would attempt to commit suicide should Coast Guard officers attempt to remove him from the vessel. Officers then returned to the Coast Guard cutter Valiant, which remained on the scene. On or about August 27, 2023, the Valiant continued to make efforts to disembark him from this, utilising this small boat. However, Bellucci displayed 2 knives and threatened to hurt himself if the officers boarded the vessel. Moreover, he threatened to blow himself up along with the vessel. Coast Guard officers believe this to be a valid threat, as they observed him holding wires in his hand. Coast Guard officers contacted the US Naval Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit at Kings Bay, Georgia, to determine blast and fragmentation radius of the alleged bomb. On or about August 28, the US Coast Guard cutter Campbell arrived on the scene with the Valiant to provide support. Campbell launched a small boat to attempt to deliver food and water and predictions of an incoming hurricane. Officers again ordered Bellucci off the vessel, but he again refused. It was then that he informed them that the bomb was not real. On or about August 29, they launched a small boat, made an attempt to remove him. On this occasion, they were able to successfully disembark him from the vessel. Exactly. Let him sail. Let the man sail. So if it was registered, what's the issue? Florida should have done their job and make it a legal boat. Basically, from what it sounds like, there's certain rules that basically allow the Coast Guard to say, as far as we're concerned, your journey is manifestly unsafe. So as a result of that, we're going to take you into custody and charge you with trying to travel in a manifestly unsafe way. I think that's some bullshit, personally. Okay, prior encounters. On August 17, 2015, so almost exactly 7 years prior, he was served with a captain of the port order from the commander of the Coast Guard 7th District, which includes the territories of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. This order applied to any subsequent voyages launched by him on a hydropod vessel, including the type of vessel that he was operating on August 26, 2023. The order advised him that his prior vessel had been found manifestly unsafe within the meaning of Title 46 of the US States Code. Oh, look, a great big redacted part. Okay. The requirements outlined a series of requirements to safely transit in such a vessel, including future voyages on such a hydropod vessel through the cognizant Coast Guard officers in charge of marine inspections and employer support vessel. Bellucci failed to comply with this order and was interdicted in another homemade vessel in 2016. They don't bother the billionaires with the shitty submarines about safety. There is that. Based on the foregoing facts, the affiant respectfully submits that there is probable cause to believe that he violated Title 18, Section 2237, A2A, obstruction of boarding. See, here's the thing. If he had specifically said that... it's a barcode scanner. No. If he specifically said that it was not registered in Florida and they were then all of a sudden in... international waters, and the only connection was that he was a US citizen, I feel like the Coast Guard would really need to fuck off in that instance. But anyway, so that's interesting though. I mean, hang on, where's the image? Here we go. This is what they found him traveling in. Give him a few years and he'll try again. Yeah, I would say so. It's basically like a homemade hamster wheel paddleboard. And apparently that's the previous one. Oh my god, is that literally just like one of those inflatable balls? That's hilarious. One good shark bite and that's gone. So, but there you go. Alright. Now, this one's fairly short, but I did have it in the title just for the shock value of it. Crypto founder sentenced to 11,196 years in jail, far shorter than the Turkish prosecutors had sought. A disgraced Turkish crypto founder who fled to Albania and his 2 brothers have been sentenced to 11,196 years in jail each. The Anadolu State News Agency reported on Friday. Prosecutors had asked for Thedox boss Faruk Fatia Ozer 29, to be sentenced to 40,562 years in prison for money laundering, fraud, and establishing a criminal organisation. If I were to establish a criminal organisation, I would not have acted so amateurishly, he said, telling the court. His two brothers, Serap and Guven, received the same sentence, which was issued late on Thursday after a brief trial. Turkey is known for issuing massive prison sentences, which became more common after it abolished the death penalty in 2004 to help in efforts to join the European Union. 11,196 years, that's it? Yep. So, prosecutors said that Oza had transferred around 570 million rubles, I'm assuming that's rubles, worth of crypto assets to 3 secret accounts when he fled to Turkey in April 2021, with much of the money ending up in a Malta bank. The case grabbed local headlines because it coincided with a Turkish crypto boom that has since largely subsided due to heavier government regulation. Turks began turning to various cryptocurrencies as a defense against the deep slide in the value of the lira that began more than 2 years ago. Oza gained further celebrity status after being pictured meeting with ultra-nationalist pro-government figures. I'm sure that has nothing to do with the insanely high prison sentence. Jesus, what has gone on with my brain this morning? He was arrested last year in Albania on an international arrest warrant issued from Interpol. Yes, this may or may not have anything to do with the WEF and moving towards regulation of cryptocurrencies and centralized digital banking currencies, which also leads us into something else. Which, shit, where's it gone? Fuck. So I've got to keep my news articles in one place. There it is. Bring that one back up. Shit. There we go. Okay. So that leads us into the Commonwealth Bank mystery. $90,000. How a young couple's campaign for answers about what happened has badly backfired as loved ones share their theory about what has happened. Now, my heart actually goes out to this couple. What happened is that they're a young couple. They were looking to purchase their first home. They had scrimped and saved $96,000, I believe it was, from memory. They're saying $90,000, but I'm pretty sure it's closer to $96,000 for a deposit. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a shit ton of a deposit. I guarantee they were putting down a 20% so they could avoid mortgage lenders' insurance. I genuinely don't believe they were buying a $960,000 house. But basically, while they were overseas on a prearranged holiday so that they could go to a wedding, they had settlement of their property. Now, what they tried to do was transfer the money from their Commonwealth Bank account to a Bank of Melbourne account. Not uncommon, happens every day when you do conveyancing transactions. I have clients do it fairly frequently when we have to do property sales for settlement or purchases, settlements of sales. You transfer the funds between banks so that it's there for the mortgagee to know that the funds are there and they're happy to lend the balance. Happens all the time. In this instance, the individuals tried to transfer it to the Bank of Melbourne at one instance. It bounced back to the Commonwealth Bank. They tried to transfer it again. It bounced back. Now, apparently there were some issues with the names on the account, whatever else. It hadn't been approved yet from the Bank of Melbourne side. So the money should have went back into their Commonwealth Bank account. After the second time, the money disappeared. And the bank, the Commonwealth Bank, are saying that the money never existed, despite the fact that the couple have receipts showing that the money was in the account, should have been back in the account, and now all of a sudden it's just disappeared. Please tell me that you did not try to Oklahoma when you come here. That can cause what? So, yeah. A couple who say they lost their life savings in a bungled Commonwealth Bank transfer are in hiding after their emotional plea for help has turned sour. And that's also pissed me off a little bit as well, because as so happens, social media has turned on them, or at least a segment of it. And personally, I believe that that is not necessarily genuine people. I'm paranoid. So it's literally, my back's hurting. Having dealt with certain clientele and certain issues with certain banks here in Australia, I can definitely say they will play dirty, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if this started out as a result of them engaging a PR firm. You can't turn a 0 into a 1 without a confirmed command. Well, Ellie Houston, 21, and her partner, Trey Murphy, 23, say they transferred $90,000 from their account to a Bank of Melbourne account on June 30 before it vanished into thin air. Miss Houston claimed in an interview with Radio 3AW on Monday that the money initially bounced back to their original account before eventually disappearing altogether. They then appeared on television in a further attempt to try recover the missing funds. Sources have told the Daily Mail the media blitz had been recommended by the couple's lawyer after they exhausted all efforts to obtain answers about the mysterious transactions from the banks. And I see this. I have seen this in practice. They will just stonewall. If they think that they're at fault, or if they don't want to acknowledge something has gone wrong, they will just not get in contact with you or not allow you to contact them. It will literally, but I can understand why, of all things, their lawyer has had to recommend saying, let's go to the media because we've exhausted all other options. They won't talk to us, they won't acknowledge the fault or anything like that. So we're going to have to try and twist them a little bit here. Okay, so this is the audio from...
We sent $90,000 back to Bank of Melbourne. We flew out to Bali on the 5th of July, and on the 7th of July, the money bounced back again into our Commonwealth Bank account, which from there, we couldn't then send any money over internationally because of that high sum. So we left it. We had to pay a $2,500 fee for late settlement because we weren't going to be able to settle the land internationally.
Yeah.
We come home from Bali on the 20th. We went straight into Commonwealth to settle this land and transfer the money to Bank of Melbourne. No money in our account, 75 cents. And they can't tell us where it's gone, nothing.
We also recognise
Commonwealth Bank customers are still not making mortgage payments. I'm shocked. The fallout from those media appearances was evident on Thursday when the Daily Mail tried to speak to shattered Mr. Murphy. The tradie's parents advised that their son was so unwell from the stress and anxiety of his ordeal that he could not get out of bed. I can understand that, having almost $100,000 up and disappear. And this is why I have so many issues with the fact that they're trying to push us towards going cashless. Because imagine if the pieces of paper or what's on your screen are the only evidence you have that any money is in your account at all. If you are unable to physically hand over cash or anything like that, this can happen to anybody. All it takes is someone slipping a finger or slip of a finger, or someone being malicious, committing fraud on the other end of the bank, and they can say they're squeaky clean. Shit happens all the time. This is not okay. Who do you sue? Your bank, the other bank? Yeah, cashless will be... No, it's not would be a disaster. Cashless will be a disaster, Lorraine, because they're pushing so hard for it. To have the money now and then all of a sudden it's gone missing from what it seems that he's been scammed somehow, his worried mum said. And to think that people now think he's the one that's lying, it's devastating. The pair had saved the substantial amount of money for a land settlement in Yarrawonga, a town located near the New South Wales-Victorian border. Miss Houston claims she has screenshots and receipts that show the money moved between the two accounts, but the Commonwealth Bank refuses to refund them the lost money. The couple's public campaign for answers quickly turned pear-shaped when sympathy turned to suspicion. Armchair detectives went into overdrive online as people openly speculated on what they believed had gone wrong. Sources close to the couple say the public campaign helped force Commonwealth Bank to re-engage with them. They have still had no answers as to where the money went or how they can get it back. Commonwealth Bank has said that once it went into the account he wanted it to go into, it's been transferred into someone else's account by a name he doesn't even know. So for some reason, the money's been transferred from some account to somewhere else, and it's just gone. A spokesperson for the Commonwealth Bank said it had investigated the couple's claims and had since told Mr. Murphy that the receipt numbers he provided do not exist in CBA records. I call bullshit on that. On examination of the images of the receipts provided, the documents differ from genuine CBA receipts, and the receipt numbers do not match existing. The receipt numbers do not exist in CBA records. Yeah, sure, they don't. They differ from genuine CBA receipts because they're screenshots taken from within the CBA app. The statement added Mr. Murphy contends that the balance of his account should be $96,000. Following an investigation by CBA, we've informed him that the account in question or any other account held by him did not have a balance of $96,000 at the time when the relevant transfers or in the 12 months prior. So they've been saving up $96,000. They've got it in their account ready for settlement, and now they're saying, "Oh, none of the accounts that you actually own show that you've ever had $96,000 in it." That, to me, sounds like a clerical and accounting error on behalf of the bank. The account from which the transfers allegedly took place is a NetBank Saver account, which only permits transfers to another CBA account and is unable to process transfers to another financial institution. Subject to receiving additional information from Mr. Murphy, CBA is willing to make further inquiries. As well they fucking should. That's a hell of a lot of money. Friends of Mr. Murphy have backed his account and taken aim at cruel speculation that he suggested that he may be covering up some kind of secret gambling habit. Who in their right mind would drop $96,000 on a horse? It's ridiculous. Well, to be fair, gambling addicts, not necessarily in their right mind. But that's not really the point. Threaten the banks is the $90,000 worth of reputation hit that they would take. Well, doing this from the bank in Bali, I'd check the corruption in Bali. No, I don't believe so. I believe look, there are many ways that things could have went wrong. I mean, I'm calling out the CBA here specifically because of the way that they've acted about it, and because I'm not a fan of the CBA, particularly because of how they've dealt with certain clients of mine, my own personal interactions with them. I'm not a fan. But I mean, if they were doing transactions through the Commonwealth Bank app overseas, there's every chance that things were intercepted. You know, there's all kinds of things that can happen hacking-wise. But my understanding is that the funds were being transferred not utilizing a bank in Bali. They were transferring funds from the CBA directly to Bank of Melbourne, just using their app overseas. Well, from the sounds of it, yeah, they have a withdrawal record, but that it was taken out and sent to somebody's account that has nothing to do with the couple. Not going to lie, $95,000 is cheap for a good horse. Yeah, but you're not going to bet $95,000 on a horse, though, theoretically. The friend of the couple said that they only went public in an effort to get the bank talking again in the hope of retrieving their life savings. The couple had been on a long-planned trip to Bali when the transfer from the CBA account bounced back from the Bank of Melbourne. Both of their names weren't approved yet, according to Miss Houston. When the couple again tried to transfer the $90,000 to the Bank of Melbourne account on July 4, the money bounced back to their account a few days later. As they're on holiday at Bali at the time, the couple couldn't complete the transfer, couldn't transfer the money internationally, and were charged a late $2,500 settlement fee. So basically, money bounced back. They've tried to transfer it to another bank twice, and it's bounced back. As a result, settlement hasn't taken place. The vendor has charged late settlement interest and all sorts of fees. They didn't run away to Bali because of this. They went there for a wedding, so they were compelled to go there, the friend said. They'd already booked it before any of this happened, long before, so it's just coincidence. The friend said the couple's public plea came out of sheer desperation. They wanted help and answers because they weren't getting any. They know those who know the hardworking couple insist they are the victims of a terrible crime. Either he's been hacked or the bank's account has been hacked, the friend said. Daily Mail Australia has been told that Mr. Murphy worked long hours to save for the couple's dream Yarrawonga property. The money was all kept in a locked savings account, which Mr. Murphy is understood to have opened in an actual bank. These two have worked hard, something has happened, and they've gone on the advice of a lawyer to go and talk to Neil Mitchell to get it going. They wanted to get things rolling, and they did, and they've got more information this week than they've had in the last 2 months. Isn't that pathetic that they had to go to the media to get information from an institution who is more than happy to charge fees and is supposed to be providing some sort of actual service, but God forbid they should actually provide information on it. It's helped them understand that they've been scammed. The matter is set to go before the Australian Financial Complaints Authority in the hope of finally resolving the matter. Good luck. Africa can be a pain in the ass as well. Worried friends say Mr. Murphy is so distraught over the missing money, he has closed himself off from loved ones. He's not in a good place, and now it's turned negative. Oh, and look, sorry, we're not currently accepting comments on this article. The comments were there earlier when I read through the news article originally. I really feel for these kids. I really do. I mean, they're a young couple that have worked hard, and from what it seems that they're... Yeah, exactly. Banks don't care. You're just a number to them. I understand the banks do not want to take responsibility, giving them the runaround. I would go public too. Yeah. So yeah, this one was some absolute BS. Okay. All right. From one grisly situation to another, the grizzly bear that killed a woman near West Yellowstone in July has been euthanized after breaking into a home. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks confirmed on Wednesday that a grizzly bear had been euthanized on Saturday, September 2, and was the same bear that killed 48-year-old Amy Adamson in Kansas in July. Damn. Kansas up to Montana. That's a bit of a hike. In Bozeman, Montana, Montana Fish and Wildlife and Parks confirmed on Wednesday that the grizzly bear euthanized on Saturday was the same bear that killed 48-year-old Amy Adamson of Kansas in July. Early Saturday morning, FWP wardens received a report from a West Yellowstone homeowner that a grizzly bear with a cub broke into their house through the window while they were home and grabbed a container of dog food. FWP staff captured the cub later that evening and shot the adult grizzly. The adult bear was shot with the authorization from the US Fish and Wildlife Service because of the immediate danger that it was posed by the bear's food-conditioned behavior. According to Morgan Jacobson, Information Education Program Manager of Montana. The bear was euthanized because it entered somebody's home, which is very unsafe, very unusual behavior for bears, he added. According to FWP, the 10-year-old female grizzly had been captured in 2017 for research purposes. Genetic analysis and other identifying factors confirm the bear was the same one that attacked and killed Adamson in July 22. After the incident in July where the woman was killed, there was an extensive effort to trap the bear. We had traps set for several days following the incident in the area of West Yellowstone, but those trap efforts were not successful. FWP says the bear had also injured a person in Idaho near Henry's Lake State Park in 2020. Damn, this bear gets around. The 45-pound male cub is being held by FWP at their Wildlife Rehabilitation Center in Helena, pending transfer to a zoo in the coming weeks. So tell me this, why couldn't you trank the mother and put her in a zoo? If she'd been conditioned to seek food from humans, why would you not just trank her and put her in a zoo as well? Kind of feels like an unnecessary death. Yogi stole a picnic basket and Ranger Smith blew out his brains. Hey, boo-boo, I think that agent has a pretty big rifle. I might need to put down this picnic basket. Bam! Sorry, that was probably a bit loud. Oh, and I should have just used the sound effects. Grizzly bears are only in the Rockies, Colorado, Montana, etc. Colorado, Canada, Jesus Christ. And Alaska. Who says the bear was in Flat, Kansas? Oh, where is that? Okay, so moving on from one bad look of PR to another. China is considering a ban on clothes that hurt the feelings of Chinese people. China's legislature is considering revisions to a law that could result in fines and jail time for individuals who offend the government through their clothing or speech. Bear rehab when the honey addiction gets out of hand. The proposed changes outlined by the Standing Committee target behaviour deemed detrimental to the spirit of the Chinese people and hurt the feelings of the Chinese people without specifying the exact offences. Offenders could face detention of up to 15 days or fines of up to 5,000 yuan, approximately $680 Australian, so $400 American. Assumed that it was already law there. Well, keep an eye out, people. I mean, the Dems keep going. This is where certain areas are going to wind up. I'm already not happy with how things are going over here. I'm just saying you guys need to keep an eye out too. Oh, my throat is dry. I don't know what that's about. Oh, have a look at this. The potential revisions reflect a broader crackdown on civil liberties under Chinese leader Xi Jinping. We go from talking from one honey bear to another. In recent years, such crackdowns included detention of a woman for wearing a kimono in public due to historical tensions between China and Japan, as well as recent incidents involving individuals wearing rainbow-themed shirts or LGBTQ plus flags on university campus. Yes, it's hurt-feeling laws. They're worried about speech hurting their fifis, or, challenging their stranglehold on the population. Chinese social media users expressed concern about the legal changes, questioning how authorities would determine when Chinese sentiments are hurt whenever it suits them, whenever it best would suit them to be able to imprison somebody. Winnie the Poop. See you, Jude. Some believe the proposed laws could lead to arbitrary punishment. Could lead to arbitrary punishment? Shouldn't the spirit of the Chinese nation be strong and resilient? One person asked. Why can it be easily damaged by a costume? Oh, someone there has just offended the authorities. I would say that person is going to wind up with an arbitrary punishment. Vague laws are a dictator's first line of defense against its own citizens. Lived for a while in a place that criminalized gestures against the revolution, which meant whatever the secret police meant it. So there you go. That's just lovely. Close that, close that, close that. Now, I didn't actually read what this was about. I'm curious how an email sparked an end of a 22-year career. I kind of want to read this one first before I read that out aloud. The leadership of the IT has been less than adequate continuously. Okay, sounds boring. Moving on. So moving from one aspect of China to another, parliamentary researcher who spied for China has been arrested. 2 men have been arrested under the Official Secrets Act in the UK, I believe, amid allegations that a parliamentary researcher spied for China. The researcher is understood to have had links to several senior Tory MPs, Britain, including its security minister, Tom Tugendhat. That sounds like a bad massage parlour. The Tugendhat. And the Foreign Affairs Committee chairperson, Alicia Kearns. He was arrested along with another man by officers on 13 March, it was revealed by the Sunday Times. Officers from the Metropolitan Police's Counter-Terrorism Command, which oversees espionage-related offences, are investigating. One of the men in his 30s was detained in Oxfordshire, while the other in his 20s was arrested in Edinburgh, Scotland Yard said. Oh, I almost tried a Scottish accent then, I'm going to leave that alone. Searches were also carried out at both residential premises as well as a third address in East London. Both men were held at the South London Police Station before being bailed until early October. The Interparliamentary Alliance on China Pressure Group said it was appalled at reports of the infiltration of the UK Parliament by someone allegedly acting on behalf of the People's Republic. Tugendhat is said to have not had any contact with the researcher since before he became Security Minister in September last year. Cairns declined to comment, but said, "I recognise the public interest. We have a duty to ensure any work of our authorities is not jeopardised. A source close to Cairns told the PA news agency that it is inevitable the CCP would target and seek to undermine Parliament's leading voices who have demonstrated the ability to constrain the CCP's ambitions." Of course I got Oxfordshire right. Why did I get that right? They said the allegations, if true, would be a serious escalation and shows the CCP will go to any lengths to attack thorns in their side. The arrests emerged a little over a week after the Foreign Secretary James Cleverly visited Beijing amid criticism from some senior Conservative critics of China. He insisted that the UK would seek a pragmatic relationship with China to tackle major global issues such as the climate crisis. How about we just cut them off? How about we just stop dealing with them? I'm aware, very acutely aware, that almost everything we have is made in China, or at least parts of it are made in China. How about we go back to actually having proper primary production and production of technology and clothing and all that sort of stuff on our home shores? That's something that both the US and Australia and the UK would be able to benefit from. I mean, isn't there certain countries at the moment that are importing all of their food? They're not even farming shit anymore? So, but anyway, a lot of people pronounce the shirt as Shire. Yeah, and look, I think that sort of depends on the context. So, companies have been moving to India, Vietnam, and Thailand. Well, fingers crossed, we'll be able to sort it out and cut ties. Former Tory leader Sir Ian Duncan Smith, one of the party's most prominent China hawks, warned of a deepening threat being posed by the country under President Xi Jinping. The story gives the lie to the government's attempt not to see China as a systematic threat. Time for us to recognise the deepening threat of that the CCP under Xi now pose. What price was cleverly's kowtow visit to Beijing? A report from Parliament's spy agency watchdog, the Intelligence and Security Committee, warned in July that Beijing was targeting the UK prolifically and aggressively. You've got MI5 specifically saying that Beijing is targeting the UK specifically. At least we still got Mexico. Last year, MI5 issued a rare security alert warning MPs that a suspected Chinese spy called Christine Li had engaged in political interference activities on behalf of China's communist regime. Yeah, and then she turned around and sued them for defamation. Labour MP Barry Gardiner, the former chair of the now disbanded Chinese in Britain APPG, received more than £500,000 in donations from her before the warning. The Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said on Saturday, "This is an immensely serious report and shows why the UK needs a much more comprehensive response into national security threats and challenges from China and other countries. It comes at a time when the government also needs to explain serious security failings over the escape of a prisoner charged with national security offences. Downing Street and the House of Commons both declined to comment, citing policies on security matters." Who's shocked? Not me in the slightest. All right. Now, finally, we're going to move... Oh, shit. I should not have done that. Finally, we're going to move on to our last story and the court case for the day, which is basically the founder of Big Gay Ice Cream is suing his partner, accusing him of mismanagement and collecting government pandemic loans. The Big Gay Ice Cream shop. Oh, hang on.
Gay!
Not that I think that actually has anything to do with it this time around, but I just think it's funny. Doug Quint, the co-founder of soft-serve chain Big Gay Ice Cream, is suing his partner John Chapsky for mismanaging the company's finances and fraudulently collecting government loans. In a lawsuit filed in the New York State Supreme Court on August 25, Quint accused Chapsky of neglecting to pay the rent at Big Gay Ice Cream locations, resulting in at least 4 eviction proceedings. The suit was first reported by the New York Times. Chapsky also allegedly failed to pay sales tax on the company's Philadelphia location and obtained pandemic relief funds from the Small Business Association that were neither put towards the rent nor other business expenses, per the suit. Donate the sprinkles. The suit also accused Chapsky of willfully ignoring Quint's decisions around the creative direction of the company. That's the thorn in the side. That's the crawl. That's the stick in the crawl. It claimed that Chapsky refused to roll out new ice cream flavours that Quint had created and ignored other suggestions related to the brand's expansion. Quint is seeking at least $4 million in damages per the suit. While Quint and Chapsky did not immediately respond to Insider's request for comment, a representative for Chapsky told The Times on Tuesday that he was reviewing the suit with his lawyer and would respond when appropriate. Well, you've got a time limit on that, mate, so hurry up. One of the flavours. That wasn't vanilla. Oh, Mandy! No, it should be not everything white is vanilla. Meanwhile, Quint, who now works at Walgreens Pharmacy in Maine, according to The Times, told the publication, "I thought Big Gay was my life's work, the thing I was meant to do." His co-founder, Brian Petroff, now works in human resources for a restaurant chain. Big Gay Ice Cream, which started out as an ice cream truck in 2009, had multiple locations across New York and Philadelphia at its height. The chain won fans for its cheekily named flavours, such as Salty Pimp, a vanilla ice cream cone with dulce leche that was slightly salty and dipped in chocolate, and its inclusive marketing that captured the attention of mainstream consumers. Big Gay Ice Cream pints were even sold at major groceries chains and drugstores. Now it is just one location in Manhattan's Upper West Side. The store is operated by neighborhood restaurateur Jeremy Waldus. who was given permission to use the brand and recipes on Friday, according to the New York Times. Chapsky also repeatedly assured Vladis that the founders were no longer involved, per the report. Is salty balls a flavour? God, I hope not. Big salty ball, big chocolate balls. It's been ages since I've heard that song. I don't even know if I got that right. Okay, and it's taking its sweet time opening up the suit. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Come on. Felicio Gelato. That's not bad. For a name. What the hell is that? For the suit, it's... Why is this not opening? Can I just download it and open it that way? God damn it. I had it open, and now for some reason it's decided that it doesn't want to... it's about Ben & Jerry's. The link to the suit's disappeared. Oh, there it is. Is it going to reopen or not? Oh, there we go. Finally. Okay. All right. Supreme State of New York, blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, it's a short one. I mean, it's 15 pages, but we can skip through a good chunk of it. Jurisdiction. Factual background. The company was formed on around December 28, 2012. At all relevant times, members of the respective membership interests were Brian Petrov, Douglas Quint, and Edible. Pursuant to the operating agreement on August 22, 2013. First amendment of the operating agreement, blah, blah, blah. Pursuant to paragraph 2 of the operating agreement, Chapsky was named the manager or managing member and co-managing member appointed by Edible Assets. Chapsky's various obligations and responsibilities as manager was clearly laid out in the LLC agreement. Pursuant to paragraph 3, each of the managers shall have one vote on any and all actions taken by the managers, and the managers shall act by majority consent of the managers, except that one each of Brian and Douglas Quint shall have final authority and unilateral decision-making over the creative directions and aspects of the company, and John Chapsky, or the manager appointed by Edible Assets, shall have final authority and unilateral decision-making over all financial matters. So Chapsky, the guy that's brought the case, had decision-making over finances. The other two were the Edible Assets. The Lemon Demon. Ugh, Lemon Party. Oh, Mandy. I didn't need that first thing in the morning. As manager responsible for all financial matters, Chapsky was responsible for maintaining the company's books and records. Chapsky assured Quint and the company that, based on his experience, he was qualified to take over finances of the company. Despite provisions of the agreement, they willfully ignored Quint's decisions regarding the creative direction and aspects of the company. Yeah, so he had every right to be involved in the... Shout out to big old gay Al's expansion into ice cream. For example, Chapsky refused to roll out new ice cream flavors created by Quint and disregarded suggestions relating to the expansion of the brand in order to unilaterally carry out his own scheme, and defrauded the company and its remaining members. Edible and Chapsky have failed to fulfill their obligations under the LLC agreement, which wrongful and unilateral failures constitute gross negligence, bad faith, willful misconduct, all while reaping the monetary benefits provided by the LLC agreement. They failed to properly manage the finances of the company. The company, through direct ownership of various subsidiary entities, operated a number of big gay ice creams across New York City and elsewhere in the United States. The defendants used and mismanaged a series of corporate entities to perpetuate a scheme against the plaintiff. Ooh, he's going for the whole conspiracy. Upon information and belief, defendants stopped paying the rent at the locations, resulting in at least 4 eviction proceedings being commenced in the Supreme Court. So various actions filed, blah, blah, blah. Pineapple Princess LLC resulted in an order against them for $392,000. Ouch. Action against Square to Spare LLC and Big Gay Agenda LLC resulted in a monetary judgment dated March 13, 2022 for the sum of $418,000. Damn. Plaintiff was never contacted by any attorney to represent him personally or as a member of the company in any of the matters, despite an attorney entering appearances on his behalf. I'm sorry, what? Ooh, the attorney's going to get raked over the coals for that too. That's not good. You can't act on someone's behalf without them actually giving you instructions. That's sus. Okay. Upon information and belief, Chapsky fraudulently executed retainer agreements on behalf of the plaintiff without authorization in an effort to prevent the plaintiff from being fully aware of his conduct and financial conduct of the matters. Chocolate salty balls, just put them in your mouth and suck them. Gotta go back and watch South Park again. Big Al's big gay agenda. As a result, the plaintiff was precluded from putting down his own defense with an attorney of his choosing in those matters. Only attorneys appearing have been chosen by Chapsky and in contact only with Chapsky. Matter was commenced in the Supreme Court in the Bronx County in 2019 for supply and non-payment of goods. Shit. Although withdrawn after commencement, the complaint filed in the Imperial Bag case further suggests that Chapsky's fraudulent activity was a direct harm to the plaintiff. Well, I should say so. Failure to pay taxes for the Philadelphia location created liability for and issues with several of the company's investors. Chapsky fraudulently obtained government funds from the payroll protection plan to the tune of $102,600. Shit. Okay, so we have breach of contract. What's he after? What is he asking for here? Where's a prayer for relief? Okay, so on the first cause of action, an amount to be proven at trial, but in any event, not less than $1 million plus statutory interest, costs and expenses, including reasonable attorney's fees. For the second cause of action, an amount to be proven at trial, not less than $1 million. Third cause, $1 million. Fourth cause of action, an accounting and payment of all sums due to the plaintiff. $1 million. So he's claiming at least $4 million plus amounts owed to him, together with interest, punitive damages, fees and expenses, attorney's fees, costs of this action, and any other such and further relief as a court deems just and proper. Because what is he actually going for? Because I was a dumbass and read right over it. Breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, aiding and abetting a breach of fiduciary duty, individual accounting, because he wants everything to be... Basically, he hasn't provided any sort of documentation. Unjust enrichment. That's pretty messed up. So basically, this guy got screwed over by the guy running Big Gay Ice Cream. So yeah, there is that. Well, I wish him luck. Clearly, this is a case of one individual trying to completely rule a company despite there being individuals that are other directors, which you see more often than not. But, yeah, I'll be interested to see exactly where that one goes. You should have expected it, sadly. Yeah, I think so, from the sounds of it. But look at you guys go with all the ice cream flavour suggestions. AIDS-Pricot, that's terrible. Freddie Mercury Maple. HIV honey. Go woke, they said. You won't go broke with ice cream, they said. Well, you know. Anyway. Okay. I think that was all the Florida man stuff. Okay. Alright. And let's just finish with the meme of the day. When a one-night stand turns into a hostage situation. Best of luck, mate. Guys, I'm going to finish it up there. Oh, it's good to be back in the seat again. But as always, please remember, you are not a piece of shit. You do have value and you do contribute to society. And please make sure you hop back here tomorrow. I will be back. I've set alarms, I've set reminders. I'm going to get back into the routine because I love seeing you all here and I love reading the news to you and giving my opinion on things. Looking at potentially doing some trial streams. I have some stuff that I've got to look at. But anise and gonorrhea. Lovely. Banana foster child flavor. That's terrible. But anyway. Stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheers, guys. And... I gotta remove some of these videos, I really do.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.